There was no one Clint Walker hated more than him. Norman Eugene Clint Walker was born on May 30, 1927, in Hartford, Illinois. He grew up in a modest, hard-working family during the Great Depression. His mother, Gladys Holla Walker, was of Czech descent, and his father, Paul Arnold Walker, worked in an oil refinery. Growing up in a small industrial town, Walker developed a strong work ethic and a love of the outdoors, which later became important parts of his on-screen persona as a young man. Walker dropped out of school early to help support his family. He worked on a riverboat and in a factory, among other places, but his big body and natural athleticism made him a good fit for more daring parts. During World War II, Walker joined the U.S. Merchant Marine at the age of 17. He served his country and gained important life experience that would shape his disciplined and determined personality. After the war, Walker tried working as a doorman and a sheet. He worked as a metal worker and even as an undercover private investigator. But his striking 6'6", a height, chiseled features, and deep baritone voice made him a perfect choice for Hollywood, and friends and acquaintances pushed him to try. Soon after moving to Los Angeles, Walker got a job as a security guard at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. It was there that talent agent noticed his rugged, all-American good looks and saw star potential in him. Walker had no formal acting training but got his first small roles in movies, including an uncredited role as a Sardinian captain in the classic biblical epic The Ten Commandments, 1956. But Warner Brothers cast him in Cheyenne body in the TV show Cheyenne 1955-1963, which would define his career and cement his place as a legendary figure in Western television history. The first hour-long Western show on TV was Cheyenne, and Walker won over viewers with his performance as the tough but charming drifter, Cheyenne Body. Across America, the show's success was due to both its interesting plots and action-packed scenes and Walker's commanding performance on screen. His character was a noble and moral loner who didn't say much but was always right. Walker became one of the most recognizable faces in the Western genre. His combination of physical prowess, gentle charm, and quiet intensity made him a fan favorite. However, Walker had contractual issues with Warner Brothers that caused him to temporarily leave the series. This break from Cheyenne gave him the chance to explore opportunities in film, taking advantage of his TV fame. Walker went on to play leading roles in a number of westerns and action-packed adventures, including Fort Doss 1958, Yellowstone Kelly 1959, and Gold of the Seven Saints 1961, where he showed off his ability to play rugged heroes with a compelling mix of toughness and sensitivity. Walker also broke away from the Western genre, starring in the war drama None But the Brave 1965, directed by Frank Sinatra, and the classic survival film The Night of the Grizzly, 1966. One of his most famous movie roles was as Samson Pose in The Dirty Dozen, 1967, a mild-mannered but physically intimidating prisoner recruited for a dangerous World War II mission. Despite these successes, Walker stayed closely connected to the Western genre, making TV movies and guest appearances in Westerns throughout the 1970s and 1980s, solidifying his reputation as one of the genre's most beloved figures. In 1971, Walker had a scary near-death experience that made him even more famous. He was skiing in Mammoth Mountain, California, when he fell and was accidentally stabbed in the heart by a ski pole. Amazingly, he lived through it all, had emergency surgery, and made a full recovery. His strength and amazing comeback amazed friends and strengthened in the last few years of his career. Walker continued to honor his Western roots by lending his voice to animated movies like Small Soldiers 1998 and making public appearances at Western conventions. Even though he stopped acting, his legacy lives on through Cheyenne and his many other movies, which continue to entertain generations of viewers. Clint Walker experienced 3 significant marriages throughout his life, each lasting approximately 2 decades. His first marriage was to Verna Garver, whom he wed in 1948, during the early years of his Hollywood career. At the time, Walker was still establishing himself in the entertainment industry, working various jobs before achieving fame. Their marriage resulted in the birth of their only child, a daughter named Valerie, in 1950. Valerie Walker would go on to make history as one of the first female airline pilots, breaking barriers in a male-dominated profession. She demonstrated remarkable skill and determination, earning respect and admiration in the aviation industry. However, despite their early years together and the shared joy of parenthood, Walker and Garver's marriage eventually came to an end in 1968. After 2 decades, the reasons for their divorce remain private, but like many Hollywood marriages, the pressures of fame and career obligations may have played a role. After his first marriage ended, he was single for a few years before he found love again. In 1974, he married Giselle Hennessy, a woman who brought him new happiness and companionship. Their relationship was marked by devotion and deep affection, and they were together for 20 years. However, their time together was cut short when Hennessy died in 1994. Walker's loss was undoubtedly devastating, as he had found comfort and stability in their marriage. The years after her death were likely filled with grief. As he got used to life without his beloved wife, Walker found love again and married Susan Cavallari in 1997. Their marriage would be his last, lasting until his death. Cavallari was a loyal partner who loved and supported Walker as he moved into his later years. They built a life together in Grass Valley, California, where he could enjoy a quieter life away from the spotlight. Their marriage lasted over 20 years, showing how strong their bond was. Walker was known for his unusual food choices outside of his personal life. He called himself a pescipalarian, which means he didn't eat red meat but did eat chicken, fish, especially salmon. This choice may have been influenced by health worries or personal beliefs about nutrition in a time when many celebrities promoted healthy lifestyles. Walker's eating habits showed that he cared about his health and longevity. This included not eating beef, which was different from the usual image of a tough cowboy actor who would eat a lot of steak and red meat. Walker's way of eating stressed balance, which probably helped his health and incredible longevity. Walker was also involved in politics and spoke out in favor of conservative principles. In the 1964 U.S. presidential election, he backed Barry Goldwater, a Republican senator from Arizona who was known for strongly supporting conservative ideas. Goldwater's campaign emphasized limited government, individual freedoms, and a strong national defense. These ideas probably hit home for Walker because he was known for playing strong, independent, and self-reliant characters on screen. Walker may have been drawn to Goldwater's vision of tough American individualism. His support put him in line with many Hollywood stars who spoke out about politics and sided with the conservative movement at a time when the entertainment business was often linked to more liberal views. Many people loved Clint Walker and James Arness as actors, especially in Western movies and TV shows. They were known for their tall, deep voices and tough yet stoic roles as police officers and gunslingers. But behind the scenes, there was a different story. Millions of fans admired and respected both men. Walker, who was best known for playing Cheyenne Body in the TV show Cheyenne from 1955 to 1963, was said to have had a deep-seated grudge against Aries, who played the famous star of Gunsmoke from 1955 to 1975. This dislike wasn't caused by a single event, but by a buildup of professional and personal grudges over time. At the heart of Walker's dislike for Arness was the fact that both men were competing for supremacy in the Western genre in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Cheyenne and Gunsmoke were two of the biggest shows of their time, each attracting millions of loyal viewers every week. Walker, who was 6'6" tall, was a commanding actor who took pride in being able to do many of his own stunts. He gave his character a real sense of ruggedness by doing them himself. Arness, who was only 6'5", tall, also had a strong presence as Marshall. Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke, a part that made him famous for 20 years. The two actors were always compared, and Walker is said to have felt that he was often overwhelmed by Arnold's show, which ran longer and was more popular with regular people. Walker's anger probably grew because he thought Hollywood and network executives were favoring certain actors. Additionally, people who worked in the business often thought that Walker didn't like Aries because he thought that Aries had a privileged career path. Aries had an edge over his competitors because John Wayne chose him to star in Gunsmoke without any other consideration. Wayne was originally asked to play Marshall Dillon, but he turned down the part and instead recommended Aries for it. Wayne's influence in Hollywood was unmatched, and this endorsement gave Aries a huge boost. On the other hand, Walker had to work his way up from small roles and hard work before getting his big break in Cheyenne. The difference in how the two actors got their start may have made Walker feel angry, thinking that Aries had an easier path to success. There were also rumors that Walker and Aries had fought at industry events, even though both men were known for being professional on set. Walker was said to be more approachable and friendly off-screen, while Arness could be more reserved, and sometimes Walker, who had been in the merchant marine and done hard jobs before getting into the entertainment business, was proud of his blue-collar background and ability to relate to people. He reportedly thought that Arness, who had a more polished Hollywood persona and had benefited from personal connections, carried himself with an air of superiority. Some sources said Walker thought Arness had written him off as a lesser talent, which made him even more angry. Gunsmoke's popularity and length of time on the air may have been the main point of disagreement between the two. While Cheyenne was groundbreaking as the first hour-long Western on TV and made Walker a star, it did not have the same longevity as Gunsmoke, which ran for 20 years. Walker had a rough time with Warner Brothers and even quit Cheyenne at one point because of a contract disagreement. On the other hand, Arness stayed with Gunsmoke the whole time, making himself the definitive TV actor. Officer Aries's long-lasting success may have made Walker angry because he felt like he had lost something in his own career because of his battles with studio executives. This anger, along with constant comparisons between their careers, probably made Walker even more angry toward Barnes over the years. Despite their rivalry, Walker never spoke badly of Barnes in interviews, at least not in a way that was meant to hurt his reputation. However, people who knew Walker well said that he did not like the Gunsmoke star. It's unclear whether Walker saw Barnes as more of a rival than a friend. While they were both leaving behind great Western accomplishments, their complicated relationship is still one of the most interesting behind the scenes stories of old TV. One of the most dramatic events in Walker's life happened in May 1971 when he almost died in a skiing accident at Mammoth Mountain in California. Walker was an experienced outdoorsman who was used to physical challenges, but this particular trip almost cost him his life. Walker lost control while navigating the rough, unpredictable terrain of the ski slopes and began tumbling violently down the mountain. His ski pole punctured his chest, piercing through his heart. On arrival at the hospital, his condition was so bad that he was declared dead. However, in what can only be called a miraculous turn of events, a doctor saw faint signs of life and refused to give up on him. Walker was rushed to emergency surgery, where doctors performed a delicate and complex operation to repair his damaged heart. He miraculously lived, defying all medical expectations. Even more amazing was how quickly he recovered. Within 2 months of the accident, he was back at work, showing how incredibly strong and resilient he was. This became one of the most amazing survival stories in Hollywood history, cementing Walker's reputation as a real-life embodiment of the tough and enduring characters he played on screen. Walker continued to live a long and fulfilling life, but in his later years, his health started to get worse. And on May 21, 2018, he died in Grass Valley, California, of congestive heart failure. His death marked the end of a legendary life that was full of amazing accomplishments, personal wins, and performances that will never be forgotten. Besides his daughter Valerie his third wife, Susan Cavallari, and other close family members like a grandson and a half-sister. He was left by his twin sister Lucille Westbrook, who died before him in 2000. People who loved Walker will always remember him as a real-life hero and Hollywood cowboy action star, because of what he did in movies and TV shows and how strong he was in his personal life. He will always be known as one of Hollywood's most famous and lasting figures.